is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to check out the video. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with another video on NBA. What to expect is basically season previews. And I'm going to give y'all one that's a little hot and very interesting and something that we all talking about really want to see. And that's the Brooklyn Nets. This is a team that one of my favorite, if not my favorite player of the generation, Kevin Durant, went to and shocked the world. And he joined up with Irie, one of my other favorite players to watch, a sight-in player that really dominated in the finals before, helped the Celtics, my Boston Celtics, make it to the NBA playoffs as the best player on the team. And we advanced over to the second round, and he actually beat the Milwaukee Bucks one game. And then you also have this team with a lot of mystery. A lot of people saying was it a mistake getting rid of the team that they had last year for putting two superstars on this team. And one of the biggest concerns and one of the biggest criticisms was the fact that KD is out for the whole year. You just paid the man over $20 million, and he's not even going to play one game for you this season. Not only that, it puts a lot of pressure on Kyrie, a guy that has had many, many injury problems throughout his career, missing playoffs, missing finals, big games. He just wasn't available to play. And I thought that was a concern when I seen him join up with Kyrie. But Kevin Durant is going through his own injuries, and we don't even know what he's going to be coming off of it, which is going to be a problem because that could be a big thing depending on how this really shakes out. But what I would say about the Knicks, they have really done well. They went from a team that was really slandered a lot and butt of all jokes because of what they did with KG and Paul Pierce in that trade and how much they gave up, and then they really didn't do anything but make it out of the first round, and then they had to rebuild, and they was able to get to a point where they made it to the playoffs. Nobody had the Brooklyn Nets making the playoffs last year for what I seen. Even I didn't have the Brooklyn Nets making the playoffs, and even if I had to be honest, that was a team that barely made it. This Nets team figured it out at the right time, so you have to give them credit when it's due. They stuck together throughout the injuries, throughout the fighting, throughout the chemistry problems, and they stuck together as a team. And D'Angelo Russell was a big part of that. And it was kind of surprising that they let him go so easily, like he wasn't even worth a fight or wasn't even worth considering picking him back up. And they move forward. And this is the team that they have, one of the best rosters when healthy in the entire NBA, and they have a chance to win the title. The only problem is they're not healthy. And that's going to be my biggest concern for this team going into this season is, can they stay healthy? Can Kyrie play more than 60 games? That's not a joke. That's just a legitimate concern. Can Kyrie Irving play more than 60 games? Can they rely on Kyrie missing games? Now, the best part of this is they still got Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie is a guy that can break down the defense. He is a decent playmaker. He is a tough shot creator. He has a lot of heart because he likes to shine in big moments, and he's not afraid to take those shots in the big moments. And it is kind of different seeing that they can go big, they can go small, and they got a rim protector in DeAndre Jordan that's an insurance for Jared Allen. And Jared Allen has been improving every season. He's a guy that's fearless. He's not scared to get dunked on. He's not scared to set the screens. He's not scared to make the right plays, and that's the type of center that you want. Only problem is, will he really fit with Kyrie and the rest of this team, as this is a more perimeter team than the inside team, especially with no Durant that can really just post up and score anybody in the mid and high post or even the low post because he has that fadeaway. But I really want to see how this dynamic works, because one thing I got to say again is Karis LeVert is a guy that has went through a lot of injuries, and he hasn't been healthy for a lot of these games. And that's going to be the main concern as they try to win the title in Brooklyn. Can this team stay healthy? Can they play together? Can they play good enough defense to be a legitimate contender in the entire NBA? Because when you get KD and Kyrie, it's not about going to the finals. It's not about getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. When you bring these two players together with the type of talent they have on this roster, it's about winning the title. I heard a lot of people say all this bullshit. I'm just gonna keep it real. When you bring in arguably the best player in the world when he went down, and you add Kyrie, who just led a team to the playoffs and out of the first round in the Eastern Conference, the goal is a title. It ain't gonna be this year, but the next 2 to 3 years that they have under contract will be. And that's what these moves have done. The problem is they're gonna have problems keeping some of these players unless they take pay cuts. Another problem is the injuries. Another problem is, can they really gel? This team has the perimeter players, they have the shooting, they have size, but they're very shooting heavy. When you look at Prince, you look at Temple, you look at Allen, you look at Harris, you look at Kyrie, you look at Dinwiddie, who can get to the basket. Same with Kyrie, but they're more perimeter players now. And then you look at Karis LeVert. He's a guy that can hit floaters and get to the paint, but he likes to stay out on the perimeter. Can they get enough quality shots? Can they get the stops when it matters? Can they make the plays that wins you a series? That do they have the guys that can help you win the series when Kyrie is off and KD is off? It's just a big question mark for this whole entire team, and it's just going to be an interesting process watching them for the next couple years. But for right now, I still think they are a very, very competitive team, especially offensively. It's going to be very hard to stop this team from scoring the basketball, um, mainly because they have guys that can really break you down and get the shots that they want, and they also can play off the ball on the perimeter. And Jared Allen is a guy that does the dirty work, doesn't ask for the ball, doesn't really make many plays, don't have many plays called for him, but he's a guy that's going to put in the hustle, do the dirty, rebounding, getting the blocks, anchoring that defense to the best of his ability, but setting screens and getting these guys open and getting these guys good shots that they can really have confidence in taking and making. So I just feel like this Brooklyn team has a lot of things going against it on paper when it comes to the things that I mentioned, but also not having these type of players on your roster. They're going to have to grow. They're going to have to adjust. They're going to have to learn each other, especially if they have the injury problems that they've been having. It's just going to mess up the chemistry and just make it a lot tougher for this team to gel right away. Then, like I said, next year you got to try to incorporate an injured, beat up Kevin Durant. So it's just tough seeing the big picture without them winning the title. This year is basically, can they get to the playoffs? Can they be a force? And can they really make a run in the playoffs? I think that's what I really want to see about this team, because this team reminds me a lot of my Celtics. Nobody really thought the Celtics was going to win the title in the East as the season continued to go on. But everybody thought they'd be a great team in the East. And they was a decent team, but they underperformed in the playoffs and then throughout the regular season. And I can see a lot of that happening with this team. Battling injuries, not being able to mesh early on, trying to figure out how to incorporate Kyrie, who is a totally different player than D'Angelo Russell, and trying to figure out how they can throw out their lineups and how they can get the best out of their players with guys like Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, and Kyrie being score first guys, not guys that's really looking to set up. And these are guys that's not really known for their defense. And really having only one, the two, if you call them Prince, they don't really have too many guys that's really known for defense when you look at the players that's going to get the most minutes. And I think that this is going to be an interesting team. One more thing I like to throw out is that they got hit a little bit on their depth chart with Wilson Chandler getting suspended. That ended up hurting them because he was a guy that can knock down some shots, a guy that can really play in that corner and get out in transition and do little small things that can help you win. And you sign him to a contract and you didn't even do anything wrong. He gets suspended for 25 games. That hurts. But I think this team is going to be resilient. I think this team is going to figure it out. And I do have the Brooklyn Nets making the playoffs just like they did last year. I don't see them as a title contender, in my personal opinion, how the roster is right now, if I had to be honest. But I do see them as a team that can be a 4, 5, 6 seed and can get out of the first round depending on who they match up against, and really can be a tough cover. Other than that, this is going to be a team that's going to be middle in the pack of probably rebounding, assists, or at the bottom for assists. And I think they're going to be a team that's going to be probably one of the middle to bottom in defense. But like I said, it's going to be hard to literally match up and play against this team. They have a lot of weapons. They have a lot of perimeter shooting, and they have a lot of guys that can create their own shot and make life a living hell if they can stay healthy and they can stay on the court and they can really mesh. But they got guys that can handle the ball and break down the defense and create opportunities for each other. So I think they're going to still be a tough cover. But when it comes to being a serious team in the East, I don't think this year is going to be that. But I still think they're going to be a team that's going to be competitive, fun to watch, entertaining. And I think this is a season that Karis LeVert gets paid. And he did. Now it's just about going out there and doing it on the court. He had an excellent playoffs, had an excellent start to a season. But if you want to be known as one of the best players, you got to do it consistently. You got to do it game to game and not have as many bad games. And he's a young player that everybody watching for, a young player that has really been known. And he is Brooklyn, I believe, raised. So I really want to see how he meshes and how he plays and how he comes back better. I feel like he comes back a better player. He comes back a more confident player. And he's a guy that I would say look out for him because Kyrie is going to need somebody to help him out if Spencer Dinwiddie is coming off the bench. Joe Harris is not going to create his own shot. Prince is not going to do it consistently enough. They're going to need somebody else to help this offense out with their starting lineup. And if they decide to start Karis LeVert, which I think they will, he's going to have a bigger role than a lot of you guys think, especially with no Kevin Durant and Wilson Chandler being out for 25 games. They're going to need somebody that's going to really have to help them score the basketball and make plays for others while also keeping the defense collapsing off balance so other people can feed off the energy and get the open shots. Because this team, they have a lot of great role players, but outside of Kyrie, they don't have that other guy that can really take over a game consistently and help them win. But the NBA got tougher. The East is weak, but the West is tougher. So you got to find a way to win outside of just the East. You can feast on the East, but you still, if you want to be a contender and be a big team in the East and get a good record and a good seeding, then you got to beat the West too. And that's going to be the problem of why I see them as a 4, 5, or 6. I don't really think they're good enough to really be one of the best teams out the gate, especially with a lot of these guys being suspended, injured, and we don't even know how they're going to mesh. It's going to take some time. But once they start figuring out, it'll be a great foundation to build upon once they add KD next year. So I really want to see how this team mesh, how they play, how they're going to run their offense, what they're going to do defensively, and who's going to be the guy that help Kyrie out. We know what Kyrie can do. We know he can play. We know he's going to get his buckets. We know he has become a better passer since leaving Boston. But it's still a new team, new players, new coach, new system, and you just got to figure it out as the season go on, and that could be a hindrance and why they can get off to a mediocre to bad start. Other than that, they're going to have a decent season. Won't be a title contender unless they make some moves. But other than that, they should be an exciting team to watch. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think they're a contender? Do you think they're going to flop? Do you think Kyrie isn't a leader? He can't play. He's not a playmaker. He's not a scorer. Wherever you feel about the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie, and the rest of the team, even Karis, even Spencer Dinwiddie, even Jared Allen, even DeAndre Jordan, who got his money, and he's going to be needed too because Jared Allen plays so intense. He gets in foul trouble sometimes. They're going to need somebody that can solidify that center position. Even if he gets a small injury, DeAndre Jordan can be a solid player. But at the same time, do you really want to rely on DeAndre Jordan? I don't know, but you still rather have him than a lot of other players at his current age and how this roster is built. So let's see what happens. Should be a fun season. Should be interesting. And at the same time, I really want to see how Kyrie's going to handle how people have turned on him. People used to be so high on Kyrie. Now it seems like everybody's against him. And I really want to see how he attacks this season, how his mentality is, and how the team plays around him, and if they follow him. Let me know how you guys think, though. Like this video, check out my older videos on my channel. I have many playlists. I break down rookies. I break down players. I break down summer league. I do cover the draft, and I got a mock draft up already. Not only that, I do podcasts, and I also talk about the game of basketball, whether it comes to summer league, free agency, trade deadline, buyouts, and also I cover top 10 discussions and stuff like that. So you like this type of video, you like the NBA, check out my older videos and my playlists. I enjoy making these videos. You guys enjoy watching.